Okay, so we're just going to do a quick introduction to Excel, just to refresh our heads, because it might have been a while since we've used it. So this is an Excel spreadsheet. The letters are columns, the numbers are rows. Okay, that's our first thing. And all these little boxes are called cells. Okay, so what's the first bit of magic we want to show you? Well, you might want to make a table. Yeah, and so here I'm just typing in numbers. Okay, you might have heard my keyboard clacking away there. So I've got a row of numbers. Now, it's okay, but it's going to get tedious quickly. We can do better than that. So here I'm going to do 1. Now, if we want to put something, an equation or a sum or something into Excel, we start by typing equals. So I've just typed equals there. Now, I can click on other cells. So I'm going to click on that cell there. And you can see that it's come up in blue. It's highlighted that in blue, and it says F4. So that's F4. There, that's the name of the cell. Okay. I'm going to say F4, and I'm going to say plus 1. So what's going to happen? So that's 2, because 1 plus the value in that cell is 2. Now, you can all see that little square just near where I've got my cursor there, at the bottom corner of the cell. Just at the bottom corner of the cell there. So I'm just going to click on that, and you can you see the cursor? I'm just going to move over that, sorry. You can see the cursor changes to that thin cross. And I click and hold my mouse button. I'm just going to drag it down. Look at that, that's magic, that is. So what's happened? Well, if we double click in the cell, you'll see that says F5 plus 1, which best escape to come out of there. F6 plus 1. F7 plus 1. So as I've dragged it down, it knows where the reference is, and it's changed that reference by 1 cell as I've dragged it down. The same thing would happen if we went across. Okay, so that's something you can do quite quickly and easily. So let's say we wanted to add 2 things together. We could say that equals that plus that, and that gives us the answer. Yeah. And if we change that number 5 to a 12, watch what happens over here. Changes instantly. And you can also see that it's changed the numbers below, because from here onwards, it's taking the value of that cell and adding 1 as it goes down. Okay. So we can this makes it quite a powerful tool, a very powerful tool. So other things we can do is we can do multiplication. So that's shift and 8 for your little asterisk symbol there. Okay. So we can do multiplication. I've not put my equal sign in there. So let's put an equal sign in there. 2 times by 14. F10. 28. Okay, so we can do multiplication. We can do division. So I don't know. Let's say this cell divided by 2. Okay, let's just move that out of the way, see what's going on. Press enter. Okay, so we can do basic maths. We can also do more complicated maths, and there's a whole range of functions that we can and formulas that we can use. Financial, logical, text, date and time lookup, maths and trig, possibly more interest to us. Absolute, arc, cos, h, arc, cot, cough, aggregate, Arabic. So there's all sorts of there's pi, everybody's favourite. Let's see what happens if we say. See what happens if we say equals pi. There we are. Yeah. So we just need to pi close brackets, and there we have pi. If we go up to here, we can just drag that. There we are. So it gives us pi to a good few decimal places. It probably displays it to more. Okay. So that's something we can do to very quickly build up. I personally think, oops, I didn't really do that. Excel qualifies as CAD software in that it's computer-aided design software. You can set things up so that the calculations that you did with Karen and that you've been doing with Karen and Amir. You can set that up so that you can do it in Excel, and you just you change the variables and it spits out the answer at the bottom. You can set that up so you could very quickly set up spreadsheets so that you could pick the size of beams, or pick the correct find out what the correct voltage is for a certain circuit or things like that. Which in my mind is computer aided design. There's not a line in sight, but certainly for calculations, it can be very good. Right, so what I want you to do, and what I've asked you to do for the practice run, is I've asked you to go through the worked example, and I've asked you to translate that into an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm just going to go through the first section, just to show you what I mean when I say that. Okay, so let's get rid of that for a moment. Come on. What's going on here? Why won't that go away? Okay. That's unhelpful. I need to sort that out. Okay. Right. So I've got the worksheet on the left, and we've got the thing right. So let's start with this table here. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to read the text between the tables. I don't want you to just copy and paste things into here. And where there's a calculation, I want you to do the calculation in Excel. So let me show you what I mean. So let's start by doing a little bit of copy and paste, because I can't do that. Okay, never mind. Right. Revenue. Cost of sales. And contribution. And you'll see some of this text is sticking over the edge of the cell. So all we can do is just come up to there, and if we just double click, then that makes it the right size. Okay. If you've got lots of things overhanging, you can just click there, and then if you double click, it will size all of the cells. Okay. Or you can select like that and then double click, and it'll size cells that you've in the columns that you've highlighted. Okay, so revenue. So we're given this figure, aren't we, of 9,500, 6,000, okay, 12,000 and 7,000. Right, now, here we've got a contribution and we've got a total. Now these two, this row and this column are calculated, aren't they? So the contribution, if you remember, we said, well, what was the contribution? Let's have a look. I can't remember what the contribution is. Oh, phew, thank goodness for that. This is the difference between the revenue and the cost of sales. So we put an equal sign. We click on that. We put a minus sign. And we click on that. Okay. Now, we could type that in again and do that. Or we can do the magic, go to there, and we just drag that across. Yeah, and we can double click on that, and we can see that it's done exactly what we wanted there. Okay, and finally, the totals. So that equals that plus that. Okay, and again, we can just drag that down. And there we are. We've created very quickly that table. Okay, but the advantage that we have over this table, which is a static table, is that if next month the cost of sales for company A, let's just make it a bit more like, shall we? B and total there. Yeah. So next month the cost has gone up to, or gone down, because they're such a lovely company, to 4,000. Then you can see instantly that value's changed and that value's changed. Yeah. So we don't have to go through calculating everything again. Yeah. We change a value and then we get an answer. Okay. So I'm just going to whack up to full screen again. So a way that might be helpful, you can see here we've got, this is a bit like your titles and things in Microsoft Word. So, that is perhaps explanatory. These would be inputs. That would be a calculation. And that would be a calculation. Right, hold on. I'm just going to... oh no, all's good. Right, where are we? There. Right, so... I don't know where Adam is, little man. I think he's upstairs in his bedroom. Right. So that's what I mean when I'm saying go through this and turn these tables into an Excel spreadsheet. Okay. And use these to make it look nice. Yeah. And we can work it out as we go. Because there's an awful lot of this that's calculated. Yeah. So those totals are calculated. Those values there are calculated. Yeah. Apportioned overheads. So essentially, we're just adding these two lines here to the previous table. So the overheads are calculated in the same ratio as cost of sales. Well, how do we find that out? Well, that would be 6,000 divided by 13,000. Yeah, that gives us that. What proportion of 6,000 is 13,000? Yeah, and then we multiply that by our overhead cost as 6,500. So let's just see how that works then. So what are we saying? We are saying that equals. Let's just see if it's correct. Let's put the cost of sales back to 6,000, shall we? So 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So we're saying that the equals. Let's see if we get this the right way around, shall we? 6,000 divided by 13,000, and let's just put some brackets around that so we know that we're doing that first. Yeah, and then we're multiplying that by 6,500, which is our overhead cost, and that gives us contribution. That gives us our overhead of 3,000. You see? Okay, so it's just going through, reading and understanding, and just using it as a practice to make our spreadsheets. Okay, and if you want a quick look at what it might look like, here's one I've prepared earlier. So there's our first two tables, really, and this is your traditional costing method. Okay, then we come down. Yeah, you can see that's an input, is the resource cost. Yeah, that's how we split down the overall overhead. There's our overhead there. And then we're saying the amount of time we spend on each of those for customer A and customer B. Okay. Number of full-time people is 10, but that can always change, can't it? The company might get another employee, somebody might leave, yes. And again, that number can change, might change premises. All right. So we're putting all this in here. That's, I think, table 6 or 7, might be table 8. Yeah, and all these in grey are calculations. If you look at the top of the screen, you can see it there. Okay. Yeah. And there's an output, total activity cost. Okay. And so we come down, and then finally, that last table is the ABC costing. Yeah, it's our activity-based costing. So when you come to do this as an assignment, you need to do it for, obviously, the worked example, the case study. That's the one. The case study on the on the assignment. You start by doing the traditional. You finish by doing the ABC, and as part of your write-up, you have to compare the traditional and the ABC method, stating advantages and disadvantages for both. Okay, so that's your practice for the assignment. Obviously, if you're an Excel wizard and you're happy with ABC, then by all means get stuck in on the assignment. All right, I think that's... oh no, just one more thing, isn't there? One more thing. You'll notice everything's got pound signs on it there. So let's just flick back to to this wonderful thing here. So what we can do, where we've got pound signs, where we know it's talking about money, if we select those cells and we right click, there we go. We can go down to format cells and we can go to the number tab. We can choose currency, and if you're lucky, it will default to a pound sign. If you're not lucky, it might say a dollar sign. So just hit the down tab and find our lovely English pound from that list there. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the pound sign there. Okay. So now when I press OK, there we are. You can see that looks much better, doesn't it? All right. Right. I think that's everything we might need to know. Anyway, if you've got any questions, feel free, and thank you very much.